And from the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Drussel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned. Hey, we are finally back. How is everybody?
You cats and kittens.
How is everybody? Everybody have a great Christmas? Man, Garrett and I both ended up getting COVID. And to you naysayers who don't believe that it's real,
And it's terrible.
It's real. And it's bad. You know, it hit me in, the first night. It was probably 2 a.m, and I was watching TV, and my chest all of a sudden just felt like I had congestion. I mean, it went from 1 minute, all of a sudden I'm congested.
Boom.
And I kept thinking, okay, I don't have COVID. There's no way, right? And
you got tested twice, though, didn't you?
I did. I'll get to that. So my chest started getting tight, started to feel this congestion, and I work in the health field, so I was thinking, oh, great. And so I took a test. I took a lab test at where I work, negative.
Right.
Okay, 2 days later, I'm feeling worse. I'm constantly sneezing, I'm coughing, all this stuff's going on. And so my wife's a nurse. We got a rapid test, negative. And I'm like, there's no way.
And then I come actually walk in because I'm looking for my hat and at the studio, and I see you, and I'm like, Keith, you look really bad right now. So I went and told your daughter. I said, I think you need to tell your dad to take another test.
Yeah. So, so you know, I thought, okay, well, I've taken 2 tests, and they're, you know, it said negative, so I must not have it. But by the 2 days after that last test,
right,
I got worse. And I said,
you look bad, dude.
I've got COVID.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I go to, you know, to my local CVS, and they have one line, right? You know, they got 2 windows. They should have had people picking up prescriptions here.
Oh, for sure.
And then COVID test on the
thing.
left.
Yeah.
No, they did. No, these Einsteins decided, let's just do one line and let's take 2 hours to get everybody through. Well, I get up there, right? And they're having problems getting my insurance in. For some reason, my insurance will not go through. Now, there's people behind me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 30 minutes later.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm up there. I still haven't taken my test. She goes, I'm sorry, we're still trying to get you. And I'm like, you know what? I could see the look on people's faces, and then you see the cars that are pissed off, you know, and they're driving around you. And I just told her, said, look, let me come back. When you guys get this settled, call me, and I'll get back in line. And I felt, you know, it was like, I felt horrible. I was just up there for probably 35, 40 minutes just at the window while they're trying to get my insurance.
But you need to know it's important.
But I need to know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I kid you not. So I live probably about 7-8 miles from here, maybe not that far. I get home, I walk in the door, I lay on the bed. As soon as I lay on the bed, phone rings. Hey, we're ready for you to take your COVID test. So yeah, sure enough, I go back up there, get back in line because I was like, just let me up front.
Yeah, yeah.
And took it, and then sure enough, the next day it said, yeah, you're positive for COVID. And I mean, and gosh, just think if I would have went back to work, you know, even feeling crappy.
I was on my way to a funeral.
Yeah.
And thank God and we were really battling back and forth because none of us, we had all kind of, you know, right?
Know.
But hey,
I remember.
We've deducted that we didn't get it from you. Guess who we got it from?
Who do you think?
Taylor.
Well, you know, Taylor probably got it from me.
So
Taylor's my daughter, by the way.
Essentially, we got it from you, but I'm going to blame it on Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. That's someone sending me a text message.
It's my wife.
They're probably going, hey, we can't hear anything. You guys aren't on screen. we can't have a show without some type of technical problems.
I swear.
No chewing gum on air. Well, sorry, Cassie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We finally do this?
Yeah.
Like,
hey,
the
guys,
intro, we killed the intro?
Yeah. So, no, anyway, so okay, yeah, I chew gum. I chew nicotine gum. I quit smoking 4 years.
And good for you.
4 years ago. Actually, last November was 4 years I quit smoking, but I'm addicted to the gum.
Who cares?
Well, that's what my doctor said the same thing. He goes, it's not the nicotine that's bad for you. He goes, it's the million toxins that you're breathing in your lungs.
Right. And here Cass is, your beloved daughter, ruining our show.
I know. It's probably not the most professional thing to do, but I have to do it.
Forget about it.
Okay, guys, this kind of sucks, but our guest has canceled.
Well, no, not necessarily. He'll be on.
Yeah. Well, not tonight.
Not tonight though. Yeah.
Not tonight. But yeah, he lives in Canada. He is having internet problems. He said they were putting in some new fiber optic lines.
Right.
And I guess it knocked out his internet.
Hey, but the good thing though that
but you got us.
Yeah, you've got us, and that explains his accent. When I was watching the videos, I was like, "Where's this guy from?" So he's from like up in Ontario, Canada.
Right. So what Garrett and I are going to do? We're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of let you know what this guy's all about. If you haven't seen his videos, at the end of the show, I'm going to put a link to his channel
for sure.
He has 3 videos out on Delphi. He has another one that's going to be coming up pretty soon.
Right.
On the crime scene. And it's this guy's really interesting. Has any of you guys seen Matt Sullivan's video? Anybody in the chat room, put a big fat yes in there if you've seen it. Hey, Randy Southwell, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Randy?
My best friend from high school. And Jaggy, how you doing? And of course, my lovely wife Pam.
God, what is that place, you guys? Oh, hey.
Sapphire. I'm trying to say hi to everybody. Jules, hello. Melinda, hey, how you doing?
We got some Michigans, Wisconsins, Ohio, some Oklahomas.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys like true crime more than paranormal stuff. Our last 2 videos have just went through the roof. But we are going to continue. What we're going to do, and Garrett and I talked about this a long time ago, is to do the paranormal thing, but we're both interested in unsolved crimes. And the next one I'd like to do is Missy Beavers. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that. In fact, one of the people who commented suggested that, and I looked it up, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean,
you got another one where you have the video.
You got the video of the guy.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Or girl.
That's right. I kind of think it's an angry.
Could be a female.
I think it's an angry wife or mother.
Right, for sure. Yeah, the Missy Beavers case is a really interesting one.
Right.
But afterlife still, it still works for the true crime because in a way we're giving life to these crimes that still are unsolved. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think, and it is. It's a good thing for the family. I mean, if we can help out somehow, even help them be a part of solving a crime. I'm not saying we're going to. I'm just saying. But just bringing attention to it to make people, kind of investigate it, look into it.
And I think it's important for the communities because oftentimes I always talk about how tight-knit our community at least feels, right?
Yeah.
And so in these communities that, and I think it's important that I say that before we get into the Matt Sullivan thing. Because a lot of what he talks about is the community of Delphi and kind of the struggles that they're having over this crime. So...
Yeah, it's a very interesting take because I don't think anybody has actually went and actually talked to the locals. Hey, what do you guys think about this crime? Do you
dig in, and
because according to him, these folks know who did this,
right?
And they're saying that the town of not just Delphi, but Carroll County is completely corrupt,
right?
From the mayor to the law enforcement, and I don't want to name names because
I'm not naming.
I don't want to get
sued.
No. Matt does that, and that's fine if Matt wants to do that.
Yeah. Hey, and I will tell you that me watching and listening to his videos.
Yeah.
I texted you, and the word I used was compelling. I mean, he makes a compelling argument, and so we'll get to that.
Yeah, he does, and it's there's Dylan. Hey, Dylan, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, it's he's got an interesting take. He's got a different take than anybody else on this case. You know, it basically every suspect that you and I have looked at is
out the window.
Out the window, according to this
Right,
guy.
yeah.
Right. And so he claims that law enforcement knows who's responsible for these murders, but because of some corruption, they're derailing the case on purpose. And so because this individual knows a whole lot about the politicians and some of the dirty stuff that's going on in Delphi and in Carroll County, because the guy's from Kokomo.
Right. Yeah.
Bermuda, Bahama, well, pretty
Hey,
mama.
I'm glad that in his
tomorrow.
video, was that the Beach Boys?
Yeah, it's the Beach Boys
Okay,
song.
it was. Okay. He mentioned that in
because
his
he
video.
said not Kokomo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you guys. I know Matt's not here, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through a slideshow to show you who they think the suspect is, and give you a little background on some of this case. So then when I talked to Matt, he said possibly Tuesday would be a day,
Good.
or next Sunday.
Yeah.
And I know Tuesdays has been bad for you.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you got to make it happen.
I'll figure it out. If we're getting Matt,
If we get
Sullivan
Matt on, yeah, we got.
Don't worry about it. Forget about it.
We got to make it work. We got to
Forget
make it
about
work. All right, so I guess you guys are probably curious to see who Matt thinks the Delphi killer is, right?
Let's do it.
I'm not putting it on there until someone says, yes, we are, Keith. I think that'd be awesome if you showed a picture of the alleged suspect.
And this guy is in prison, right now? Or
He's sitting in
being
prison.
held for something. So
Yeah, and you can't say CP, what that stands for on YouTube.
I don't even know what CB means.
Okay, well, you guys have to figure it out. But this guy was into CP. Try to figure it out. I can't say that because they have an algorithm that if this
Can you
word,
mute that and then tell me with your hand like that? Yeah, do that.
yeah, I
real fast.
can.
Do that. I'm glad that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should be able to say the word though, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, you guys probably figured out. Well, maybe has to do.
Oh, he's just in prison for something bad.
He's in prison for something really bad, and the initials are CP. And figure it out.
I guess I see your point though, like why you want the
Jackie
audience.
C's like, come on, we're ready already.
Well, no. I get the point as to why you would want, like, why that's important to this case now. Like initially when you told me it's CP, I was like, oh, but
Yeah.
that is important to this case specifically. So
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
okay, I get it. I get it.
Okay,
Show
so
these pictures.
this, I about said this gentleman. No,
God, no.
forgive me. Not this gentleman. This man right here that you guys see is Gabe Ellis. He's been convicted on CP, meth, dealing meth, missing persons, kidnapping, and there was a female named Karina McKirkland who ended up disappearing. I think she was 18 years old.
She was, yep.
And she was last seen with this Gabe Ellis guy.
Right.
Um,
Getting into his car.
yeah, and I can definitely, if you put like a hoodie on him and a hat and a jacket, he looks pretty damn close. Shoulders kind of
Yeah.
droop down a little bit. So he does look like the guy. Now, I'll show you the next picture of him is with some hair. Yeah, he looks like the guy to me.
Skin tone.
Yeah, God, isn't this hard? Because I mean, everybody in Indiana looks like this for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean that bad or anything, but
No,
but
yeah,
and
yeah.
even the folks there will tell you that well, the bridge guy looks like 90% of our population.
yeah,
They
for
say that
sure,
all the time.
sure.
So it's like, okay, yeah. So anyway, this is Gabe, and like I said, he's sitting in prison right now. He's associated with the disappearance of Karina McKirkland. He was also, when he was captured, he had a female named Sierra Daly, who I believe was the cousin of Karina, who he had been molesting and had intimate videos of both of them.
Right.
So when I say intimate videos, now you guys maybe can figure out the CP
Right.
of what he had, because they raided his house. They went
did.
through
Yeah.
and pulled out all his computers, everything.
He's gonna be in prison for a long time.
Yeah, he will. And let's see, Megan Allen. He's also responsible. Well, I got to say
Okay.
alleged.
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
say alleged.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. They
Man, how
can
do
you say molested on YouTube? I mean, I'm new to this and I don't know, but I'm going to say it. Yeah, he supposedly molested this female named Megan Allen
under
the Monahan High Bridge.
right, and this is coming from her mother, Tina.
And
right?
this is coming from Tina Riddell, who her mom, that's her mother.
Well, and that's going to be important in a a little bit. So
Yeah.
that I just wanted to make
Well,
sure.
it's going to get important real fast because that's
Okay.
my, that's
Oh,
my
is it?
next thing
Okay,
on
okay,
there.
Go for it.
Okay, but let's see what the next. Okay, now if you guys remember, they had 2 sketches in this murder case, which were totally opposite.
And which we talked about in the last video,
Yes.
because it was it could either be used as a confusion tactic or, and with Matt Sullivan, it kind of ties in him pretty
Yeah,
well.
this guy, and I about said gentleman again, is Tyler. What did I say his last name? I'm so sorry, guys. I don't have my glasses on either. I want to say like Tyler French. I'm sorry, guys. Tyler French. This is Gabe's best friend. Now, he looks a whole lot like this picture here. Now, this is where it becomes where 2 people were involved in this murder.
Which
And I truly believe that. I don't think it was one.
you know,
At first I did, but
Yeah.
the more I started thinking about it, controlling 2 girls by yourself, Matt believes that this guy was down the hill waiting
right,
as they were coming
For
down
sure.
the hill.
For sure, yeah,
And which we'll get into a little bit more in that.
Yeah.
But here's some more comparison pictures. I know they say don't do this, but I think if you are a criminal and a scumbag, then you're open for anything.
I agree.
So if you look at the sketch, man, it's really close to this
It is.
guy.
Even
And
the
again,
chin,
this is Gabe Ellis's best friend, and supposedly this guy was seen at the scene of the crime at the Mona High
Right,
Bridge
yeah.
on the 13th. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, that's just the comparison. So if Matt would say on your left, you've got Tyler,
right?
and on the right you've got
Gabe.
Gabe Ellis. So that and I got to say, Garrett, it kind of makes a little sense now because when they put the younger sketch up after that, they confused everybody, and everybody was like, "What in the world is it?" This
You're right.
And law enforcement was almost like saying, "Well, if you took both
Right.
pictures, put them together, and."
I think that the main thing here, though, is that what Matt is saying is that somebody saw this, because what our argument was on the last one is that they initially say that this second sketch was from somebody entering into the park, passing by this person, and we were saying, that's difficult to do years down the road, this and that. But what Matt's saying is, no, somebody like a third party to this is why it's important that you mention these other crimes.
Yeah.
Is that somebody that was involved with Tyler French and Gabe Ellis actually saw them in that area on that day.
They did.
So it's not some random person
Well,
that's just
and
walking
not-
by and making these sketches.
And not only that, they have an eyewitness that saw Tyler on the private road that's on the south side of the bridge, which would be down the hill.
Right.
And it's supposed, man, that's why I wish Matt was here, because there's so many questions I have to ask. It's like this witness sees Tyler on this road under the bridge and then goes to ask him what he's doing there, which to me is like, okay, it's a public park.
Right.
And, to me, it's like at this point, it's not suspicious. There's a guy on a road. He's at the park. What's weird about that you go approach this guy?
Right.
So I'd like to, that's one of the things I want to ask Matt is who was this person?
Well, so no, I think this is.
And why were they suspicious of some guy?
I'm kind of glad we're doing this, and then he's going to come on later, because it does lead us. I told you that his video, because for me, I still think that it's one person, and I still believe that the Evansdale murders and the Delphi murders are connected. So when I'm watching Matt's videos, I'm thinking this is pretty compelling though. I mean, he puts on it's a really good show. He brings up, it's a lot of work. I mean, he ties a lot of this stuff in. And so that's why I think that like looking back at this evidence through his lens is important, because that makes more sense for that younger sketch to come out if it's somebody that actually knows Tyler French rather than just some random passerby that just sees this guy, which is what they said, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows everybody there. And that's the big thing is he's talking to the locals there.
Right.
He's speaking to them. He's talking, he's getting all his information. And according to Matt, like everybody in the town knows who's responsible for this murder.
Right.
They're all saying Gabe Ellis is what, according to him.
According to him. Right.
Right. According to him. And again, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I don't know,
Yeah, because my question too would be, what's Libby's sister? Is it Libby's sister? Kelsey, German, right?
Yeah.
I want to go back and watch her videos now and see a couple other things with her. I mean, because I don't think she ever mentions Gabe Ellis or anything to this extent necessarily.
Well,
and it seems like that's what I would do.
Well, let me but let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Matt, I think, is saying, like, when he's talking to these people, he's talking to them in private. He set up some type of just special chat room because these people are afraid to death, because Gabe, all these people are pretty powerful drug people.
Right.
That will kill you.
Right.
So they're scared to come forward.
Well, and you and I were talking because you're a huge Sopranos fan. I'm a huge Sopranos fan.
Love Sopranos.
But we talk a lot about the Irish, mafia. I'm sorry, the Italian mafia, right? And everything. And what your point was, like, families off limits. And what we were talking about before the show is meth heads are crazy. The cartel, we're dealing with a different beast here. These organizations this isn't the Italian mafia that had a code, right?
But it's not the Mexican cartel either.
Maybe. I mean,
well, we don't know if there's any.
But the point was being made about meth and about how this stuff, these type of people, it's just different.
Hey, even the mobsters today say, these people, these new gangs, they're out of their minds.
Yeah.
They're even saying, we never touch families. We never touch children. If someone owed us money or they snitched on us, we took care of that individual.
Yeah.
And families was hands off.
Right.
And because I watched an interview the other day that had to do with Whitey Bulger. And Whitey's main guy was talking about, he goes, man, these guys are nuts now.
Right.
He goes, we never would have killed anybody that had,
for sure,
unless it was directly the person. They said we never would have killed a family,
which is the one thing in Matt's, like, he has a lot of, like I said, it's very compelling, but that aspect of it gives it some validity to his theory.
Yeah,
is that I
crazy.
think
it's a whole new generation of crime, organized crime now.
Right.
I mean, if you think about the street gangs, I mean, when they do a drive-by, they just randomly are shooting. They, you hear about little 5-year-olds getting shot because of, and again, I've heard the Italian mob say, "My God, what's wrong with these people?"
Right.
Even though they're killers, but they're like, you can't just go willy-nilly shooting down a neighborhood.
And I mentioned it in the last episode. I said, it's not like, for me, it's not like some meth head would go out there. There'd be evidence strewn all over the place. There would be, you'd have been caught in a day. You'd been, talking about it.
Well, and meth does something to you.
It does. And so that's why I think that would have been crazy. They would have caught him immediately. But what's Matt saying is this is deeper than that. This isn't just a meth head that's going in and committing this.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. Okay. Excuse me. This is the bridge guy. Now, this next photo I'm going to show you is of Gabe Ellis's jacket that he has strewn over. He's got it looks like it's over a motorcycle, hanging over motorcycles. Here's the next picture. Okay. So this is the blue jacket. Now, this, that's very circumstantial. Lots of people have blue jackets, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The one thing I do see, again, and I wish Matt was here, and we'll ask Matt about this when he does come on the show, is if you guys look, and I wish I had a pointer, but I haven't figured out how to do that. You'll see there's 2 white stripes up on the shoulder area. If you see that. Now let's go back to bridge guy. Okay, I'm not seeing the white stripes on the shoulder. Now, if you look at his right arm on his shoulder, the closest thing, and this could just be light reflection. It looks like there's 2 little white stripes, but again, it's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just not clear enough to say, yeah, that's definitely white stripes. But do you see what I'm saying?
I do. Yep.
I mean, those are very prominent.
They are
white
for sure
looking stripes on the jacket.
And
I'm not sure that's the same jacket.
I'm going to say this for Pamela,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, no, I get it.
Right.
I see that for sure. They are very prominent.
Okay, so this next thing is a piece of audio I want to play for everybody. This is comparison.
This is the compelling part to me, man.
This is pretty compelling. What I'm going to play you is you're going to hear Bridge Guy say "Down the Hill," and then you're going to hear Gabe Ellis. Now, I took this off his video. I tried to clean it up as best I can. I think most of you guys have heard the Bridge Guy "Down the Hill," but it's a little
guys down the hill.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and hit that now, and then you're going to hear Bridge Guy, and then you're going to hear Gabe Ellis.
I want you to be quiet. Why not be quiet? I want you to be quiet.
Okay, now there's similarities I hear.
For sure. For sure.
That was almost the thing that, did you guys hear that? Okay, can you put it in the chat box if you heard the audio? I know it's probably a little garbled. Now I have I could play this.
Guys.
Okay, and then we'll play this one more time, and then just listen to Gabe's part.
Why not be quiet? I want you to be quiet. Why not be quiet? I want you to be quiet.
What do you think, Garrett?
I think it sounds a lot. I mean,
there's a lot of.
yeah,
that's
sure.
probably the closest thing I've ever heard.
For sure.
Because for a while I thought it was Fouts, and I think his voice kind of sounded like it. But then when I heard Gabe Ellis's, I thought, yeah, and that's what sold it for Matt.
Right.
He said to him it's identical.
Right. Yeah.
That the voice is identical. Anyway, if Pammy, if you're out there and there's some questions, like I said, I can't really see the chat room. If you want to run those back to me, that'd be great. If there's anybody that's asking any questions,
it's active. There's a lot of conversation going on. It's
yeah,
great.
and guys, thanks so much for being here on a Christmas weekend. I'm sure there's other things you could be doing, and we do appreciate it. And we're sorry we had that 2 weeks off, man. But I was sick with COVID. That
hey,
any naysayers,
man. Did you tell them how excited I was to come back in the studio though? There were days I would come and just stand in here in the dark and just look around.
Yeah, Garrett lives. How far do you live from me? About 5 miles, maybe.
Maybe
5 miles. Garrett would just drive over here, and he would just like walk in the studio and sit in a chair.
I was like, "Come on, man, let's go."
It's hilarious. Okay, so I want everybody in the chat room. You guys heard that? Put yes or no. Yes, it sounded like Bridge Guy, or no, you didn't think so. I'm just kind of curious to see what you guys think. We didn't want it, Keith. Glad you didn't share.
Don't worry, we all got it.
Yeah.
My entire family got it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Hey.
You know the weird thing about COVID. I'm sorry. I'll try to get off this, but if you got just when you do get it, because I think I think it's one of those things that it's not if, it's when.
For sure.
It goes in waves. Like I mean,
oh my God,
you'll wake up one day and you'll go, "Oh man, I feel fantastic."
I know. Yay!
And then
I'm gonna do something.
2 hours later, man, it feels like you got slammed by a Mack truck.
Remember I told you that we went on a hike and we got like
You're
100.
crazy.
We got like 100 yards. Cool, because we woke up and we're like, man, I think we're good. We can't smell or taste, which sucks.
Yeah, but I told you it goes.
I know.
It was it would hit you.
Dude, we got like 100 yards into this trail, and me and Cass looked at each other and we're like, is this a good idea?
Yeah, right.
We were sweating.
Hey, I just went to Walmart and I thought I was going to pass out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got up, felt good, and I was like, I'm okay. And I started, pushing the cart and was like, holy crap, I'm getting tired. I had to get out of there.
Okay.
But anyway,
moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so we got Randy Southwell saying yes. He thought it sounded like the bridge guy, Melinda.
Jaggy did.
Yes.
Jaggy did.
Jaggy says yes. Jules says yes. It does. It really does to me too. And
Randy was asymptomatic. Lucky.
Randy had it?
He was asymptomatic.
Randy, you're so lucky. You know, and I thought I was too.
Me too, 100%.
When I first got it, like I said, I had a tightness in my chest. And I thought, this ain't nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and then boom, I had bouts of nausea that were, they would come out of nowhere.
Hey, I told you that everybody in my family
out of nowhere
tested positive, and I tested negative.
Yeah.
And I was like, how in the world? And then it hit me. I woke up Thursday morning and I said, Cass, I can't. She handed me a bottle of liquor. It was like, this is the true test. Like, smell this. Couldn't smell a thing.
I couldn't smell, that scared me because I kept reading these articles about people saying that some of them never get it back.
Dude, I lost like 10 pounds.
I called Jimmy Church. I called Jimmy Church from Coast to Coast because he had COVID, and I said, Jimmy, what day are you into it? He goes, I'm day 15 right now, and I said, okay, I'm day 10. I said, please tell me your taste and smell's back, and he said, no, brother, it's not. He said, and it was weird because it's like you got this coffee. It tastes like, it doesn't taste like it, but your brain almost tells you what it should taste like.
Cass and I were talking about,
You can taste bitter and you can taste sweet, but
okay,
guys, back to the topic.
No more COVID talk.
I know.
Let's get this COVID.
We're so ADHD, it's horrible.
Okay, hey, so anyways, we did the voice thing. The
did
voice definitely, to me, I'm not I'm a super recognizer for faces, but not voices.
But not voices.
And to me, it seems similar. Make or break case? I don't know. I don't know if it makes or breaks the case. Obviously,
no.
Just because you sound like somebody doesn't mean you've murdered them. Murdered people.
You can't convict somebody on just that. Okay, here's a picture that I'm going to show you guys that's interesting. I hope you can make it out.
It took me a second.
Yeah, because it's so blurred. It's a close-up, and if you notice, I don't know where this picture came from. The jacket looks like it's open. Matt says there's a red emblem looking on his shirt. Now, the funny thing about this picture is when Libby shot this, she was on the right side of the bridge, so when you see him walking, it's at an angle. This picture looks like she was either right in front of him or to the left.
Man, and it took me a while to actually make out what this picture was.
Yeah,
but yeah, it looks like a head-on, slightly to the left image.
Yeah, it does. And then look right here.
Where did this come from, though? You know what I'm saying?
And on his video, he says he doesn't know either. He said it could be actually a trail cam.
Okay.
That took the picture.
Why wouldn't they have released this?
Right under his chin, is that a pair of goggles? Or is that it's what it kind of looks like. Goggles.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Or possibly a scarf. I don't know. But I that's another thing. God, I can't wait till we get Matt on because I want to know, where did you find this picture?
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah, because all the pictures from Libby's phone was from a right angle. She was shooting him at a right angle. This looks like it's more right, directly in front of him or to the left. Now, he also said that I think he said he had proof that Libby had a phone too. Libby, I'm sorry, Abby.
Abby had a
phone.
really?
Abby also had a phone, which I always heard she didn't have a phone. But, who knows?
He's got proof. Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, but that's it.
Hey, this picture is really intriguing, though. The fact that it is from that opposite angle and that, a lot of people have never even seen this picture before.
When I saw it, I was like, where in the heck did that come from? That's because it's like straight on and maybe just a little to the left. But I don't, we'll just have to ask Matt where it came from. Yeah. It's an interesting picture, no doubt. Okay, now, what you're looking at here, and it's kind of hard to make out, these are the bridge guy's shoes. And you can see that they have a white border around the canvas part of the shoe. The next picture I'm going to show you is Gabe's shoes. And those are Gabe's, and they've got a white border around them. Now, again, lots of people. In fact, I think I have a pair of shoes that look like this, my little Nike black ones. So this doesn't prove anything, but it's interesting. Nonetheless, it's interesting. Looks like the same shoe to me. So we will now go. Okay. this is an interesting picture to me. This is a white 2012 Dodge Dart. Now, the police had been asking people, can you identify the car that was at the old CPS building?
Right.
Which is Child Protective Services.
Right.
Now, they believe that the bridge guy had parked his car there, and they wanted anybody to come forward. Well, a lot of the locals said, yeah, it's a Dodge Dart. They recognized it. Now, what you're looking at here is a Dodge Dart. This is on February 13th, 2017. That's the same day the girls were abducted. And this is the person who took this picture was Tina.
Right. And that's why it's important to tie her back in.
Right. This is where Tina comes back in. And that's another thing I need to ask Matt. Was this, did this person, was she at the Monheim, at that park?
Okay, so
or or does she live close to the park?
Well, this is why we were talking earlier, though, about why you even brought up the fact that Megan Allen, Tina, the mom of Megan Allen, claims that Gabe Ellis attacked her daughter underneath the Mohon Bridge, right? And so she was in a way kind of going after all these people and Gabe Ellis and within his circle, okay?
Right.
And so, because our question was, why in the hell does somebody have this random picture of this guy? And so the fact that it comes from Tina, who's following these people around and trying to get information about them, makes all the sense in the world.
Right.
So I think it's just coincidence that, or maybe it's not coincidence that she took this picture of this guy at this place at this time. I mean,
right.
So, because originally I was like, okay, well, why does she have just this random picture of this guy there, right? But it makes sense because of her connection to Gabe and Tyler French.
Okay, and I want to answer a question. Facts, not lizards. I love that name, by the way. That's awesome. Who the heck is Tina? Okay, if you may have missed the first of the show, Tina Riddell is the mother of Megan Allen. Now, Megan Allen is, Garrett was just talking about, she supposedly was sexually molested under the Monon High Bridge by Gabe Ellis and some of his buddies, is what it sounded like to me. So Tina Riddell, probably being protective of her daughter, seeing a strange car or whatever, took this picture. Now, again, we need to ask Matt that.
Right.
Because I don't know. But they're saying this white car is the same car that was at the CPS building. Now, what I don't understand is supposedly this is at the High Bridge, that park. And, what's it doing there?
Right.
That's kind of weird. And so the next picture is a little better, clearer picture. And they actually was able to get the license plate number off of that, which we'll get into in just a minute, which becomes very interesting as well.
Yes.
Now you can
compelling.
see it. Yeah, you can see there's a guy in the passenger seat, and then there's a guy just opened the door, and I think he was this fellow right here that was doing something in the trunk. Now, of course, Matt says he could be putting trash bag liners back there,
equipment,
transporting maybe use it to transport the bodies,
right?
And which we're going to get into, which is another interesting thing just by itself. Okay, now I know this is hard to see, guys, but if you look where the black line is, there's a guy there with a dark blue jacket, and he's wearing blue jeans. Is this the bridge guy?
Right,
now
for sure.
Now we got two people, so was the other guy this Tyler?
See, the reason why I love this theory, is because if you listen to our last episode, I couldn't grasp the idea of two people committing a crime like this and getting away with it. If you remember us, we were going back and forth about it, but this adds credence to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
If Matt can, obviously, if we can get a little bit more information on the pictures. And
that's the problem. These pictures are so bad that, it looks like a blob. I mean, you can see the blue jacket, you can see jeans, but you know.
But the theory he attaches to it makes it
right,
it
right.
makes,
but it's not compelling enough to take to court. You know what I mean?
No, right.
But
it's compelling enough to look into.
It's compelling enough to look
and
into
to dig into for sure.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay, let's go back to the car for a minute because I want to bring something up.
Yes.
Okay, now the interesting thing is someone, and that's another question I want to ask Matt. Somebody got the plate number on this car. Okay. Supposedly,
It's paper plate, right?
it's a paper plate.
Okay.
They traced it back, you know, and that's one thing I wanted to say too is like, if they have the plate number,
They have the person.
they got the person. They have the person.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, this plate goes back to Tyler.
Right. French.
Right. Tyler French. Now, also, according to Matt, Gabe drove a gray 4-door sedan. I can't remember exactly what the model car was. It was the same paper plate that was on his car. And they transferred that over to the Dodge Dart.
Great. Yeah.
Right?
Total method move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Right. So as you see, as we're getting into this, there are some clues like,
I mean, that's
why did
wild.
law enforcement?
But see, and this is why his argument becomes compelling if we can get that license plate and I would like to see the paperwork.
Right.
I mean, because if that's a huge piece of evidence that is not being if the cops or whoever, the county, the state is not being forthcoming about, that is massive.
That's huge.
That's huge.
And we're gonna get into the reason why law enforcement would not bring in the killer of the girls,
which I find I'm very skeptical about, but we can continue.
I'm skeptical as well, but you know what? It's as good as any other theory out there.
100%.
I mean,
that was for Pam.
Yeah, 100% for Pam. Danielle Elliott. I hate this case, yet I can't keep from following to find out most anything and everything. Valentine's Day was always my favorite holiday. Now I only think about Libby and Abby. Yeah, it's true. What a horrible day, you know.
Yeah.
To find your daughter's bodies on.
And they found
every Valentine's Day to those parents and grandparents.
It was just the 8-year anniversary for when they found the Evansdale.
Oh, and by the way,
girls.
happy birthday, Liberty.
Oh, really?
Up in heaven, Liberty. Wish you a happy birthday. Her birthday is today.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we're talking about these cases.
I am too. I think it's
I was just reading about Evansdale again today.
I do love the paranormal stuff, and we are going to continue that. But so this is really something that it's devastating. And if we, like I said, the more people, and I support everybody who has a channel on this, is just it
for sure
brings light, because this is a cold case.
Yep.
Now the police will tell you it's not, but it's cold. I'm sorry, you haven't brought anybody in. It's been we're going on the 4-year anniversary of this thing in February, and
and Evansdale's 8. The anniversary was this month.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you still think the Evansdale and this.
I do.
Okay, if you went by Matt's theory, then it would not be
right.
Would not be at all.
Right. But I mean, that's why when I texted you, I keep going back to the word compelling, because both these cases are unsolved. Right. And until they're solved, nothing is certain. So when I'm watching Matt's videos, even Cass, the ultimate skeptic and critic in the world, right?
Oh God, yeah. That's my daughter, by the way.
That's my wife. We're sitting here, we're talking, and we're like, man, make some really good points. But we'll get onto it. So well done, Matt.
All right, Dixie Lou 7373. She said, "I'm sorry. What's the story on the vehicle here?" And she may have came in late. I don't mind going. Quick, I don't mind going over real quick.
It's important.
Okay, so basically, Dixie, what's going on is, this car supposedly is the same car that was seen at the CPS building. Now, this car, the picture that you're seeing right now, is at the Monine High Bridge Trail. It's in that park, and I can't remember what that park is. I should know. That's silly. But and the plates supposedly match the car that was at the CPS building. So Tina Rodell, she's a character in this whole thing. She took the picture of this car, thought it was suspicious.
Her daughter had been assaulted.
Yeah, and
there.
I'll take it back a little bit. So let's go back here. Okay, so this is the driver of the car. Matt says he does, he kind of speculates that maybe he's putting, lining it with bags or whatever to transport bodies or whatever their plan was for. Oops, sorry about that, y'all. And so let's go to this next picture.
Hey, real quick, can you go back to the picture of Tyler French real fast too?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Oh, just real fast.
Okay.
And here's why.
Hang on, you guys.
No, just real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's the guy that they're claiming this car belongs to, according to the plates, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dixie, this guy that's on the screen now, this is Tyler French. This is who I guess supposedly is the guy standing at the trunk of the car. And he looks a whole lot like that second sketch that came out.
Okay. And this is Matt Sullivan.
And this is per Matt Sullivan. This is all his
theory.
now. And Matt Sullivan, if you came in late, he is doing his own investigation, but he's doing it a little differently than most people. He's actually talking to locals in Delphi. Delphi believe that they know who the murderer is, and they're very upset and they're angry at law enforcement
this is
because
a cover-up.
And it's a cover-up.
It's a conspiracy.
And we're going to get into why it's a cover-up here in just a minute. So that was a car. Okay.
Moving
on. This is the Mears farm. This is a barn that Matt believes the girls were taken to this barn and killed. Okay.
Right.
So they were not, Matt's saying the girls were not killed where they were found.
Right.
And there's a little bit of evidence that we'll talk about here in just a minute that possibly the girls' bodies were not there when the searchers, and there's also a text message I read where a searcher said, "I'm an old cowboy," and he goes, "And I went all." He goes, "I know, I went all through that place." And
right. Yeah.
And he said those bodies were not there.
Right. Yeah.
And so let's go here. Now this is a very, very interesting picture. I remember seeing this. I've only been following the Delphi case for probably less than a year, and I remember seeing this picture several months ago, and then that was about it. No one really made a comment on it. Okay, someone laid flowers inside this barn because they believe the girls were killed there. And I want to ask Matt, where did this picture come from?
Who sat on there?
Who sent? Yeah, I mean, why? You'd almost have to question those people. How did you know that the girls were killed there, and why would you put flowers and whatnot, on that? Anyway, so who knows, man? And
the thing that you and I talked about too, though, is, and again, can't wait to have Matt on here, but I want to know is that's quite a risk. I mean, because in the last episode we talked a lot about what's going through the mind of a serial killer if Evansdale and Delphi were connected, right?
Yeah.
And so what he's minimizing his risk by the time of day that the crime was committed, right? And so that seems like the ultimate risk is to commit this crime in one place, let them search in an area, and then sneak back,
sneak the bodies back in, and hoping to God that there's no law enforcement, that there's no searchers,
family out there still, or anybody from the drive to there or the walk to there. I mean, and you're transporting two bodies, so
okay. Well, I need to
go ahead and make that.
I need to make a correction, and I apologize because I'm
go back to the car real fast if you want.
Yeah. I will. People in the chat, which they probably know more than I do, because like I said, I've been on this case less than a year.
Well, and this is new
the chat saying that the car picture was not at the park, but at a house between Delphi and Lafayette.
Okay. In the general area.
In the general area.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, Lafayette. I can't remember how far Lafayette is from Delphi, but I think it's a little ways, isn't it? But anyway,
significant nonetheless.
All right, so chat room, thank you guys so much. We're all learning together, and that's. But the plates, if the plates match,
well, it's putting him in the area.
If the plates match the car that they saw at the CPS building, then that's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Sharon Parker and Bobby Eldridge are from the area, so I guess they are in a chat room.
Very cool.
So Jaggy and Pam, anything they say, rush that here back to me, so because they probably know a lot about this.
Yeah,
a
sure.
question I'd like to ask you guys that you're from that area. Do you agree with Matt? Do you think that this was Gabe Ellis that was involved in this murder?
Or some of his cohorts.
Yeah, let me run this out of here real quick.
Is that your? Is that your? Is that the diabetic thing?
Yeah, it's my little. I'm just gonna put it out here so it doesn't make any noise.
Okay.
And take me just.
Don't worry, I'm doing just fine in here by myself. I'm having a really good time.
Okay, Garth.
Everything is normal.
Anyway, yeah. So you guys that are from the area,
Yeah, so that's what I'm really curious. It makes me want to go out to Delphi ourselves. Should we?
I think we should go out to Delphi.
Do you think they're like, I don't know, we're outsiders?
I don't know if we're outsiders.
Coming in.
Yeah, I mean, they because from what I understand,
They're
they're pretty
scared,
tight.
right?
Yeah, they're pretty tight-lipped out there. If you start nosing around.
Yeah.
So Sharon Parker, Bobby Eldridge out there. Is this true? What Matt's saying? He's saying that the majority of the folks out there think Gabe Ellis is responsible for the girls' murders. Let's see. I live in Kokomo. Gabe is well known. Yeah, Bobby isn't? He is from Kokomo, isn't he, Gabe? I believe
He lived in a little apartment in Kokomo.
Yeah,
Hey, but the fact that this picture right here is taken between those two locations, what it does though, if it is tied back to Tyler Fringe, just put him in the general area of the crime. And
It does.
I wonder what time this was taken. There has to be a timestamp.
in the morning.
Oh, it was taken in the morning.
That's what I was
okay.
told, in the morning.
Okay.
But you guys, thanks so much, man, for,
For sure.
correcting me and Garrett on that. The car.
No, I'm glad that actually
Absolutely.
gives a little bit more credence to.
Because I'm not so conceited like some other people, other channels. I go, no, you're wrong. Well, you're kind of an idiot for saying that. But, that's my best impersonation of the guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And here's another map. This guy here. So anyway,
So that ties Tyler
so
French.
that it
Gabe.
ties Tyler and Gabe.
Yeah, yeah.
So Bobby. Okay, so Bobby Eldridge says yes. So Bobby, are you familiar with this Tyler French guy? Supposedly him and Gabe are like best friends. And now Garrett, let's get into why this happened.
For sure.
According to Matt, and again, I hate saying anything about the victim's family, but Derek German, it's court record. He's been in a lot of trouble with the law for stealing chemicals to make meth.
And he turned informant.
Well, they say he turned informant, and he
Paid informant.
That's right. Paid informant is what Matt believes. I hope I'm correct. So they're thinking that right after Derek German was taken into custody, all of a sudden all these meth busts started happening.
Or across the county.
All these raids started happening across the county.
Dangerous.
Oh, very dangerous, because like I said,
yeah,
these meth guys they ain't playing around. So now their Gabe, according to Matt, believes that Derek snitched on him.
Right.
Okay. So now this is starting to become a revenge thing where, okay, and Matt said he really has nothing to lose because, okay, I guess I'm a little scared to say some of this stuff because I don't want to make accusations about politicians and law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay, but supposedly, long story short, Gabe has a lot of information, possibly has been dealing with some of the politicians, whether it's drugs and let's see, I can't say that word, ST, which is where a girl comes up missing for certain reasons.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that all these politicians are kind of have their hand in this.
Dirty money.
Dirty money. And Gabe knows about
Local.
this because he's dealt with some of these politicians. Okay.
Right. And so they're trying to throw a wrench in this whole thing to protect themselves and their livelihood.
So Matt believes that law enforcement know Gabe's responsible, but they're derailing the case because they don't want Gabe talking to the feds.
Got you. Yeah.
On this. And so they don't want a federal investigation of Carroll County.
Right.
Because of all the things that are supposedly going on. And, not being from Delphi, man, I don't, who the heck knows?
And is that common knowledge, like in the community, that because that's what Matt ultimately is asserting,
right?
This is common knowledge.
Sharon Parker and Bobby Eldridge. Is that common knowledge in Delphi or in Carroll County that you guys have a lot of corrupt politicians, a lot of corrupt law enforcement agents? And I so want to love Doug Carter.
Yeah.
I really do. He seems like his heart's in the right place, but I don't know.
Hey, they're wanting us to take calls.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on. Let me put me. Talk
Are
to
you from Scotland or something?
Oh,
Let me put my phone on.
let me put my phone.
Let's put another shrimp on the bobby.
All right, yeah. Let me get this connected to the Bluetooth, and then we'll take some phone calls.
Cool.
I'd love to hear from the local people because they can correct all our mess ups here. So just give me a second, you guys. I'm sorry. Just take me a minute. Rodecaster Pro connecting.
You mean to tell me you didn't already have this taken care of? Jeez.
Well, I did. I didn't think we were going to be taking phone calls. I really didn't. Okay. I hit okay. Okay. All right. So let's go up. And that's basically all the pictures I have. There's some of the crime scene, but I think everybody's seen those.
Hey, just cheers to everybody that's in the chat room right now, just chatting it up and working some things out, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been fantastic.
So, we'll take phone calls, 205-730-6441. 205-730-6441. It is right there. So, I'd love to hear from you locals because I'm curious. Is that the majority of, does everybody locally think that the politicians, the law enforcement know who's responsible,
right?
And they're turning their head away because of some illegal dealings that are going on.
You know my thought on it. My deep down in my heart, my intuition tells me that would be a really tedious and difficult scam to protect, right? Like,
yeah, you would have to almost have everybody involved. Because even one cop who wants to solve that case, and if he caught word it's Gabe Ellis, I would think he wouldn't care.
Well, and some FBI guy, hey, these FBI guys that are on the case want to make a name for themselves. Solving the Delphi case would be massive for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think they're just going to let somebody like this whole scheme in Carroll County just slide under the radar?
Yeah,
then you're saying that they're getting paid off or something.
Well, it depends too on how powerful these people are. You could have you can take a street cop off of some, if you know what I'm saying, the chief of police. And again, I'm not making any.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That would be massive, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to be real careful what I say because I don't know. And that's why I wish.
Do you get my point though? Like how difficult for me. That's why it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around.
It would be very, very difficult to do that, to pull that off, because everybody would have to.
That's why I can't wait for video 4 to come out.
Yeah, and Matt's going to be making a video about that on that fourth one. And if anybody wants to call, 205-730-6441, I'd really like to hear from you guys. Bobby
Eldridge.
Yeah, Bobby, call. That would be great. Sharon, you guys are from the area.
I think Bobby said she's from Howard County, which I'm not familiar with Howard County, but she says it is a little bit rough down there. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes as far as like Canadian County though.
Yeah.
But this is a massive county.
Well, and they may be, and I understand if you guys are afraid to call, perhaps, and not really want to talk about it. But it's up to you. If you, that's fine.
Well, I thought it was interesting.
We just got another message.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do we got?
They can stay anonymous for sure. We will keep them anonymous.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing Matt brings up.
Of course, we just said both their names, but but yeah, but if there's anybody else out there, I tell you what, if you call, I won't ask your name. You can just call, and we won't repeat what your name is.
Right. That's interesting. Hey, Delph, how many people? Hey, do your things keep beeping? Are you okay?
Yeah, my thing's
What
fine.
the hell's going on?
No, it's just if my blood sugar gets high, it goes off.
Okay.
That's all. I'm fine. I'm
Okay,
fine.
good. Just making sure. Don't want anything to happen on air here. Jeez.
So
I have to save your
Jaggy
life.
C and Pam, is there any questions you guys need to run back here to, or if not Jaggy because she's out of state, but Pam or anybody? I'm gonna kind of take a second. Can you see the?
Let me tell you something. We do have somebody here from Cut and Shoot, Texas. Real name, Cut and Shoot.
Cut and shoot.
Cut and Shoot, Texas.
I like it.
And they said Indiana scares them.
Yeah. Well, I hear you do not want to go to Gary.
I think there's some, yeah,
Like
there's
highest,
some tough places.
one of the
there.
highest crime rates in the world,
Yeah.
or in the United States. I mean.
Yeah.
All right, I want to take a second here. I'm going to kind of look at. See, Bobby says Kokomo has a big meth problem, has a lot of unsolved murders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was another murder, and again, it was like someone burned a house down or something. I think four people died in it or something, and that was unsolved.
Well, I was just telling you about the case in Evansdale. Like, if you look up Evansdale double homicide, another case that happened there was a couple from Arizona gets murdered by some guy in Evansdale, and he buries them in their car on his land.
God.
And so, but
That's so horrible.
The reason why I'm making this point though is because, dude, that's 4 murders in the small town of Evansdale.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're talking about places like Kokomo where there's unsolved murders, right? And there's things going on. And I was just telling you about some crimes that happen in Oklahoma City that sometimes aren't even talked about, right? That
yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
about. And I don't want to go into that.
There's a lot
of
there's a lot of unsolved cases here.
right. And so, I mean, it's just wild. Yeah.
But Kokomo has a bad. I've read about it since I've been looking into murders, and that town just has a bad reputation.
It does.
For a high crime rate, and like Bobby said, unsolved murders and a lot of meth.
Hey,
going
so
on.
the last picture that you were on was a picture of the flowers. Can I circle back around to this really fast?
Sure.
I have a question for you. And that's inside the barn that's on what they're calling Mears.
The Mears Farm.
The Mears Farm. But that has that's not connected to the other guy whose farm is where the crime.
No, Ron. You're thinking about Ron Logan.
Ron Logan. Okay, so
No,
this is a farm that's like adjacent or something. Like
Right.
closer.
And then again, I kind of wonder, okay, so how far would the girls had to gone down the hill?
Why would they go down the
across
hill?
Deer
though?
Creek?
Oh, is that what they're saying? They're claiming it. They went across Deer Creek and up to Mears Farm.
And they went up towards, and the thing is if, again, some of you locals, I don't know how far is Mears Farm from the Monon High Bridge? I mean, did they walk them like 10 miles to get to the place?
Well, and then did they commit the crime and then walk 10 miles back? Like,
yeah,
after the search party had gone for the night. So then, I mean, that's a short period of time. Like that's a difficult trek.
Yeah.
You first you're taking 2 unwilling participants, then you're bringing 2 lifeless participants, right?
Right.
Both difficult tasks, equally difficult.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you're going to get into the pictures. The thing that really got me about Matt's his theory is that when he talks about the drone that went up with the thermal camera.
Yeah, let's bring that up.
Because it ties us into that barn where the flowers are placed.
Yeah, there was a fellow. Yeah, this is something else I wanted to get into. There's a gentleman named Pat Brown who was searching for the girls. He finds boot prints. Okay. Now, there's a picture of law enforcement taking a pair of boots out of the Indiana Packers.
Yep.
And so I think Matt's trying to connect that these were the boots because Tyler French. Yeah, I get that last name.
Yeah, you're good.
That Tyler French worked there.
Right.
And then he quit in March. And Matt believes those boots are the boot tracks that were on the south end of the bridge down the hill.
And the FBI, there's a picture of them taking a pair of boots out of the Indian Packers plant, right? Correct?
Right. So, so that's, again, did the prints match? And then, most of your people are going to say, well, evidently not, because no one was taken into custody. And Pat Brown, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the one who actually first saw the bodies. He was looking across the creek, and he saw 2 deer grazing, and he got out his phone to take this picture. And as he zoomed in, he saw the bodies of the girls. Now, one thing I do have a question about is he said he saw Abby's body sitting against a tree with a shirt pulled up over her head.
Interesting.
Now, that if that's true, then these leaked text messages that came out couldn't be correct, because they had Abby laying on her back with her hands across her chest.
Right. Pat
Brown, who was an eyewitness, said he saw a body up against a tree.
Right.
Which would have been Abby.
Right.
And so, and then there's another text where it said, and this doesn't make any sense either, that it looked like Abby had lived through the morning, and was trying to crawl away. Now, if she was crawling, I would assume she's on her stomach.
True.
So this kind of discredits the text messages that were leaked,
right,
out there.
For sure.
So I'm kind of, wondering,
and it makes it terrible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's already terrible, but
it screws up the investigation for us sleuths.
Yeah.
And and for everybody, and it's just it's in bad taste to lie about how you found the bodies, but some of these text messages don't add up to what Pat Brown saw.
Yeah. And I don't know Pat Brown. I've never met Pat Brown, and I would hate to assume. The only reason why somebody would make something like that up is, have you ever seen Stand By Me? The movie Stand By Me?
Oh man, years ago.
And they're wanting to find the body or whatever. They want to be helpful. They want to hit by a train or whatever. And so, my point being is the only way is that you would want to be like the first one to find the bodies. All right.
Yeah.
But did he have written, is that in a written police report or anything? And if so, isn't that stuff available? Like a statement?
It's sealed.
But have we had Pat Brown? How did Matt get that, or how did you get that information about Pat Brown?
I believe he contacted him, and just like he contacted the guy who he did. They had a drone with a FLIR camera on it,
and he didn't use his name on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did he use the drone? Drone guy?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think he did.
Yeah.
Because some of these people didn't want to use their names.
Well, the guys, these guys may not be the ones that believe that this is a drug thing. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they do. I don't know. But there's a lot of people who are they're scared and they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the guys who are actually in the search party, some of them have been talking.
Right. Yeah. So this guy flies a drone up, and it has a camera on it.
It has a FLIR camera. Now, for you people who don't know what a FLIR camera is, it's a heat-sensing camera. It can pick up, it shows red when something's warm. So if it's flying above and say there's a deer around, and he said he saw deer, and he could see the
people from the
search party looking. Now, according to Matt, this drone went over the area where the bodies were and never picked it up. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, it was, I think, dropped down to in the 30s or something. It would have cooled the bodies down, but that's not true.
Rigor mortis.
No, it's not rigor mortis. It's another name, and it goes by Newton's law as far as cooling of a body.
Right. Yeah.
And it only the body drops just really pretty slight.
Right. And especially 3 hours after the
3 hours. Yeah. So what he was saying is those bodies would have been visible from the camera, which kind of gives credence to Matt. Maybe the bodies were moved there. Plus, you've got another searcher who said he was in that area, and he says those bodies weren't there.
And he was a cowboy.
And he said, I'm a cowboy, is what he said.
Yeah.
Because I know them woods.
Yeah.
And he probably does.
He probably does.
So he knows what, he probably knows what if they weren't there, they weren't there.
And then they found them there the next day, 8 hours later?
8 hours later.
It was
Well,
14. It was like, but it was like
around
the next day.
It was the next day. I thought it was at noon.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. If anybody in the chat wants to correct me on that, that's
But
fine.
regardless, it wasn't that. So there's let's just say 8 to 14 hour window there for somebody to move the bodies back into that location with nobody seeing them.
See that I just don't see.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not trying to be like negative or anything.
Because
you know what I mean?
I guess what you could do is I know enough that maybe the search party. I think a lot of them parked at the cemetery. Now that would probably be the easiest place to move the body. Would be from the cemetery down to whatever his name is. Every time we go live,
no, you're good.
On that guy's
Logan's,
property. You're taking a humongous risk moving bodies like that.
Well, and this is so contradictory to what you and I talked about last time, which was, and we talked a lot about risk and reward. And our evidence, what we were looking at, was kind of showing us that this guy, because I still think it's one guy, this guy minimized his risk by the time of day that he was doing it, by the people he was choosing, by the location he was choosing, right? Everything seemed like a trap. Everything seemed to me like he was minimizing his risk. So this theory throws that right on its head.
Yeah.
Puts egg right on my face, because what it's saying is that somebody was willing to take the ultimate risk. You kill 2 people in another location, then bring them back past the location. So, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, especially when he brings that part up.
Right.
But if those people are saying that it just adds more intrigue to the case, though, because these are eyewitness accounts from people that were within the search party.
Right.
So that it's confusing.
It's very
massive.
confusing.
That's why I can't wait for episode 4, though, because he's going to talk about the crime scene, right?
He's going to talk about the crime scene and how he believed the bodies were moved back. Now, man,
I hope he shocks me again now, because those first 3 are compelling. I hope that this last episode is, and I think it will be. I think it'll be wildly interesting.
Matt's done a great job on those videos.
They're really good. Yes.
And what puts a lot of, the reason I kind of believe is because the locals know, I think. They would know, they're there. They, and like he said, one individual said he lives in Kokomo, that Gabe is well known, and I think they all know he's a nut job. He's a meth addict.
Well, and tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't like some of the hierarchy of the police say that the community doesn't have a need to be worried?
Yes, they did. That was a very strange thing for them to say.
Which would lead one to assume that the threat is somewhat contained. And is Gabe not contained for a long time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think that statement was made the day of. I think when they found the bodies.
Oh, it was. I thought it was later.
No,
whenever they released.
No, I think it was around the day of or the second one, and. We got another question?
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is a good question. Pat Carlson, was the barn searched? And Pat, I don't know. Again, when we have Matt on, we'll hit him up with these questions. Because there would be a tremendous, if they were killed, how the rumors say, which they were stabbed, there'd be a tremendous amount of blood, you think, in that barn.
For sure.
There'd be all sorts of, it's just, the whole thing is just crazy.
It is.
This whole case is crazy.
Well, we talked about mixed DNA trace evidence in the last episode. And so, again, moving these 2 bodies from barn back to original location where they were found, seems like there would be evidence strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
And the fact that if the FBI knows about this barn and hasn't, then there would obviously be some massive F up.
Yeah, and a
deeper, darker story. Which I
guess to their defense, somewhat, they've never had a case like this, where this horrible of a case where 2 little girls are killed.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But again, I would think, they had to search the barn. I'm sure they searched everything around the diameter of that whole place.
The difference between the Delphi case and the Evansdale case, though, is I think that the it was 4 years down the line, okay, 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years down the line, but the widespread like knowledge of the Delphi case as compared to the Evansdale case, it seems like the public pressure would mount so quickly that somebody in the foundation would crack at some point if this was a cover up and a conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it seems like they would do anything to solve this case. And that's what we talked about last time. That's why I can't wait for episode 4 for Matt's thing, because I want to hear more about the crime scene and why he believes, because that is key evidence.
Yeah.
If he's able to tie all that together, then we're on to something like, we're on to something. He's on to him and his team, because he has a team of people working on this.
Yeah.
This isn't just some like willy-nilly investigation he's doing. I mean, he's putting a lot of effort into it. And if you watch his videos, you'll notice that'll jump out to you.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody. His name is Matt Sullivan, as you know. I think we've said that name 100 times already. But go to his YouTube page. He has 3 videos, and like Garrett said, they're compelling. They're very, very good. They're good, and it does make you scratch your head. But I mean, like we said too, there's a lot of things like, gosh, you'd have to have every law enforcement person involved in this conspiracy,
Right.
Now I don't trust politicians at all. I don't prosecutors. Your DA, your mayors.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all got their hand in a till, and if they could make some dirty money off drugs, on the down low, and let's say Gabe was that source, I could see them maybe trying to cover it up because they don't want the feds investigating, finding how much corruption may be in this county.
I've been a part of the bureaucracy to a certain extent, though, and I do truly believe that at the end of the day, like, what's great about America is we have checks and balances, right? And sometimes those are so strained. They can be very, very, very strained to the point where it seems like it's going to break. But I have the ultimate faith that our democracy and checks and balances do work out, right? And so that's, for me, coming from like my perspective and my background, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that at some point in that ladder, that those checks and balances wouldn't click into place for something like this. Now in Evansdale, I could see that maybe happening because the crime happened. There was maybe 1,000 tips. We're talking about 60,000 tips that came in for Delphi.
Right.
So for me, like that amount of pressure, it's like a powder keg. At some point, something would start to leak. And for this guy, Gabe, right? I mean, I'm not trying to take away from Kokomo or these areas, but we're not talking about, I mean, it seems like somebody at some point in the FBI or in the local state or whatever would not want to lose their job over this shit.
Yeah.
Like, like they're like, whoa, wait. I didn't sign up for this. Like, I have nothing to do with your government. I have like your local government.
And how would you pull in someone? And how would you pull them into your?
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. FBI
I mean,
agent.
you would almost have to have like a big group. Okay, guys, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're making a lot of dirty money here, and so we can't solve this case. But but we all know we want to believe in the justice system. We want to believe that there's 100%. Justice. But dude, there are a lot of places where there's a lot of corruption.
There is.
And things don't get solved. Right. And a lot of it has to do all of it to me has to do with money.
Oh,
money.
Yes. Okay.
It's just that you could even go to the OJ case. If whoever has the most money, you're not going to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's just you hire Johnny Cochran, you're going home.
Yeah. I mean, and we could get into a whole thing about the prison system, right? And how rigged it is and crazy. Okay. So that's why this Matt Sullivan thing is important, though, because I'm speaking from my experience, but with my experience, I also see how it could happen.
Yeah.
It's imperfect. It's an imperfect system. I mean, it could definitely, people are easily persuaded. And when you're trying to take food off somebody's table And that's how I would look at it if I was like in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, oh man, this guy's trying to take food on my I'm going to protect this. I got to protect it.
Yeah, I mean, but that means that someone, if this is true, someone is saying, you know what?
Those girls' lives aren't as important as mine.
Yeah, these two little girls,
Yeah.
we can let this pass because I don't want to go to prison.
Right.
And I like my Hawaii vacations and I like my Mercedes
Exactly.
and I like my big house that I own.
Yeah.
That's everything's paid for.
We see that
It's
every
just,
day, though.
You know what? If
but
it's just
not-
two girls, then,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
if, as long as it doesn't happen again,
Right.
we're going to just sweep this under the
Yeah,
rug.
yeah.
I'm sure that kind of stuff probably goes on.
I mean, I think we know that it goes on, even at the highest levels.
We don't want to believe it.
We don't want to believe it. Of course not. Because believing that means that instead of having one shitty person on this earth that did this to those two girls, and maybe to the Evansdale girls too, we have 15 shitty people that are doing this to those girls.
Or maybe more.
Or maybe more. So to believe that theory is way scarier to me than to believe the theory that one psychopath had something to do with
when
these
you
two
have
murders.
when you have a majority of politicians that are willing to take money over the life of somebody.
Oh, not even politicians. People that are sworn to protect and to serve you that are on the ground trying to keep drug dealers away from your kids.
Well, no, and when I say that, I'm putting
Right.
law enforcement,
Right.
You know, your
That's scary.
your DAs,
Yeah,
and things like that.
your elected officials.
But they're saying that's why, you know, they don't want to make a deal. They're scared to death. I mean,
Right.
that is what Matt's saying. If we
Matt's
bring,
saying, yes.
God, if we bring Gabe in and we've got all
I
this
get it.
evidence, he's gonna.
The House of
We're
Cards.
all going to prison.
The House of
We're all
Cards
going to prison.
falls.
And then how bad does that look on you as either a law enforcement agent or a politician that you were involved in something where you covered up the death of two little girls?
Yeah.
You know.
So you're saying that it's so crazy that it brings you even more tighter in to being like, I'm in now. But to say anything now would be, you know, this thing's blowing up way.
You know,
out of
and it
proportion.
could have started out. I mean, when I say innocent, I don't mean innocent. It could have started out with a little money here and there. Okay, we're cool. You know,
Right.
There's nothing's happened, but now all of a sudden, now we got two girls are dead.
Yeah.
You know, oh crap, shit. What are we gonna do?
Right.
You know, then you have to cover up.
Right.
But I
here's
could say that none of these politicians were wanting to cover up for one of these guys who actually took the life of somebody.
they just happen to be a
But
part
they
of
happen to be a part of this
Circumstance.
organization
Yeah.
where they were all making money hand over fist.
So you're just as guilty as that person is.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. So, but that even brings me more to the point on the other side of it.
I mean, government to me is just organized crime.
Well,
a lot of it is.
Okay, so
a lot of it is.
But here's the point you were making is that we are going to we have to band together because this huge house of cards that we've created, if Gabe gets caught, we all come down with it, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but the other part of that is, what about the other, the one that's checking and balancing this out, right? The FBI. What about that agent that's like, oh my God, I let this go underneath my nose, this huge house of cards. And if I would have taken
Yeah.
one person, I
Yeah.
mean, so that's my other point is like, there's another part of this that's investigating it that, and it's supposed to be used as checks and balances. And if it's not, if Matt's right, if he's correct, and that has gone on, that's a massive, massive scandal. And that is huge. And a lot of people need to go down for it. Right.
Yeah,
so that'll
absolutely.
be, I can't wait for that.
And see, and that's the thing also, when you go to Matt's YouTube site, I think he has a link there where he's got a petition. He wants the feds
Right.
to do a total investigation of Carroll County.
Right.
And to look, because he was saying like even there's some real estate scams that are going on that he knows about. There's money laundering within the politics there. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that going on. And
So he just wants to dress down like complete investigation.
he wants a complete investigation.
I
of
hope he
Carroll
gets
County.
it. Because why not?
Because I think
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
what's the-
hey, what do they have to hide? I mean, they should
That's
be.
how
any-
transparency.
Any law enforcement agency should welcome an investigation because hey,
Any local government, any government,
any government,
anything.
absolutely, because they want to say, hey, no, we have nothing to hide. Absolutely,
I've brought it up
We're
before.
good
Have
with
you
it.
ever gotten a receipt once you've paid your taxes to show you where your taxes are going to? Absolutely not.
No.
They just take them. They take them. They spend them. We just say, okay, yeah, you go for it. Go ahead. So at that moment, you work for me, right? Like
Right.
the government works for me. So I think that if you have a compelling argument and you're coming up, if it's something from this murder to real estate scams to dirty politicians to money laundering, if the taxpayers in that community sign the damn petition, then the federal government should step in and they should check it out. So I hope for not only his sake, because he's put a lot of time and effort into this, but for the sake of those who are in the constituents of that county. But I hope it comes to fruition.
I do too. And I think, like I said, I think they should be an open book and say, hey, and the best thing right now, if they're aware of Matt Sullivan, like Doug Carter and Sheriff Leslby, then they need to come out and say, hey, we know this guy's talking about this. We welcome it. Bring your investigation.
Yeah.
And because we have nothing to hide.
Right.
And I would hope that's what they would say.
Well, a spokesperson at least.
Yeah.
Send them out.
But then you got to think, okay, so I don't know about you, and I'm a little ignorant to some of this, but I've never heard of a petition for a federal investigation. And how many signatures would you need?
It probably goes. It should go based off percentage of signatures you get from that county.
But do they take?
Well, I don't know, because then what if the county's corrupt and they come down on everybody?
I don't know. What if the FBI's in on it too?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
But I mean, it's like, what would it take for the FBI? I mean, because I would think you'd have to have. Okay, first of all, you've got to have evidence to look into something, right? Hard evidence.
Yes.
Do you have paperwork that shows that money was laundered? Do you have the paperwork that shows that this supposedly this real estate that he talks about that they bought and resold, and then it was
because if you don't have hard evidence, man, that's kind of difficult to find hard evidence about corruption. But then it's almost like you're trolling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I would go online and make some videos and get a bunch of signatures from people that have never been to this county. Like, imagine if a lot of people, from like around the world,
because we're just going off of what some guys tell us.
Yeah, so it almost seems like it would be fair, because I'm all about fairness. I like to be fair.
Absolutely.
It seems like to be fair, there would need to be some sort of paper trail. Besides, otherwise, it kind of seems like trolling. Because if I sign this petition for the people in there, that doesn't make sense.
And if that's covered up well, how would you get a hold of it?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
How are you going to get it?
Yeah.
Because if there's laundered money, there's dirty dealing going on, that paper, it's in the file over there.
They're not rookies.
It's under our corruption file. If you look in the corruption file, you'll find it.
Right.
No, they're hiding all that.
Hey,
even if they did an investigation, it doesn't mean they're going to find anything, even if they were corrupted.
Lawyers are great, man. There are creative ways to do money laundering. There are great ways. There's loopholes in everything. Dude.
Right.
There's loopholes in our taxes. There's loopholes in real estate. There's loopholes in any kind of business dealings that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
If the right words are on that paper.
Right.
So, I mean, it would be interesting to see where this petition goes for sure. We shall see.
Yeah. True Crime Jesus and his geolocation. Man, I should really put my glass on. Geolocation video is what I believe. Yeah, that's an interesting take. That where they look for, they get a little, the geo thing where you looking like you go to a certain area, you open up the geocaching.
Dude, that's kind of what was I stuck on, Keith, with these murders.
Well, you were stuck on that there had to have been a reason for Bridge Guy to be out there because he knew the girls were going to be there, and in Evansville. Yeah, I just don't think that and geocaching is a popular thing to do, and if you marry that with Matt's idea that a 19-year-old or somebody was catfishing them as a 19-year-old, right, then I think that that's well. And there's a friend of I think it was Libby's friend who said that yes, she was speaking. Well, not only but she was speaking to somebody online through a chat room. About meeting them on the 13th. Do we have proof of that? I mean, that's the question I was asking last time. And just little things that's why I wish they would release some evidence. Now, I understand we don't need to know the grisly details. Yeah, for sure. But give us something. Right. If you want to solve this case, and then because it just makes Matt's theory look even more credible. It does because they're so tight-lipped. If you knew, if me as an investigator knew, or at least had an inkling of a thought that these girls met this killer at this location through an app,
through a chat room or through geocaching, whatever that is, and I didn't like alert the public to that, then I'm just as accountable. Like you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because then they could, you know,
You could save another life. You could
save another life.
Right.
Because if that's their motive, if that's how they bait these little girls out there, then they need to come out and go, hey, watch your kids' phones. Look at your kids' phones. And
so the fact that hasn't been released yet that is odd.
Well, and Lesenby said he didn't think it was a chance encounter.
Oh, did he?
Was what Matt said.
Right.
Which means that there was something on the phone that law enforcement did find. But you think that would be easy to trace, like ISP address, easy.
I know.
Especially for forensics could find that easy.
Right.
You know,
you would guess.
Guess
these geocaching, these things. I don't know anything about them.
I don't either. I've never, you know,
right.
I'm too old.
But I do know that Cass was saying that was popular though, like during that time. And I remember, because I own an establishment, I own a facility. I remember people randomly walking in when Pokemon Go, like somebody made our gym.
Dylan did that as well.
Yeah, they came to the gym to get their Pokemon things. And I was like, what are you guys here for?
I remember going to the dentist office and Dylan goes, hang on, Dad. And he runs out of the car and he's like, got his phone. Like, what are you taking a picture of?
Right. And we don't know, you know, and I don't know if that stuff just, you know, goes in.
But you think about it, what a great way to bait somebody.
Especially if you're adding the catfish component to it.
Especially children.
Right.
You know, I remember there was a time, I can't remember, maybe it was Taylor, where they said, we're going to go geocaching, and they go to mailboxes and they go to different, you know, places in the park, finding stuff.
Businesses.
And how do you know? And that,
well, because businesses started doing that. Like whenever we started kind of getting people in, we were like, hey, should we make it like because you can like make you know, where you get to collect something if you come to the place.
Right.
And so pedophiles obviously are going to look for any kind of these psychopaths, and that is such a vital tool for them to be able to hide behind the cloak of darkness.
And the more I look at this case, I definitely think these girls were catfished. I don't believe this was just a chance.
I think that Evansdale and Delphi are still connected, by the way. I just wanted to make that
clear.
I want to make that clear.
Yeah, well, then that means
both of them equally to be solved.
Then that means you don't believe Matt's
Not
theory.
yet. That's why I want to see episode 4, because it's a compelling argument.
It is.
Until this case is solved, any argument holds weight.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, so when I'm listening to it and I'm watching it, it's very compelling. That's why I can't wait for the next episode to come out and to see, you know, even ask him some questions to get down to the bottom of a couple of things that he said, because I think it's important. First off, he has a huge following, which is great.
Yeah.
It's great. We talked about that. The fact that, you know, even us having damn near 4,000 listens, that's massive for the case. So I think that anything helps. And so I can't wait to talk to him about it. It's unsolved, so we can't prove anybody's wrong or right. And so, but it's that's why the life after life's important, because it's keeping it alive.
Yeah.
I mean, this conversation has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very. I think that looks like it's stuck, Garrett. Because
it is.
You must have it on pause.
I'm still getting these things going.
It has a picture like from 2 hours ago still on it.
I was like, I'm computer illiterate, so.
Well,
did you have any more of on that slideshow?
Do what now?
On your slideshow, did you have any more pictures after the barn? Because you showed the barn, you showed the flowers.
I did, but there were pictures of crime scenes that I don't think they had to do with Libby and Abby. I think one of them was from the Flora fires.
Okay. Which was another unsolved.
Right. And then there was a picture he had on his website or on his video that looked like that park, and there was a hole or something. And I did put it on there because I wanted to ask him, where did this where did this come from?
Right.
You know, or is this from a different crime scene? Because you know, I think he's trying to connect the Flora fires, Delphi murders, and the girl that we talked about earlier that disappeared.
Right. It was last seen getting in a car.
It was last seen with
him,
Gabe in the car. And then when they pulled Gabe over, had the cousin in the back seat who they said looked like she had not eaten in days. She's not been bathed or anything.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, and so he was like, he had her and he was molesting her.
Right.
But thank God, whether this guy did it or not, thank God he's in jail. in prison right
Yeah,
now.
of
This
course.
is a very, very dangerous
Yeah,
individual.
100%.
And again, I mean, it's
And I hope prison is not treating him well.
oh, they won't. They
Yeah.
won't, especially when they find out that he had CP
Right, for sure.
on his computer. Yeah, prison will not be good to
Good.
this
Good.
man.
That's one good thing about the prison system.
Yeah, yeah, they do not like
Yeah.
molesters
Yeah.
at all. So yeah, it's but yeah, this whole thing that Matt has, it is compelling. It's very interesting, but I do have a lot of questions.
I do.
I think he believes also that after the girls were killed at the farm, that Gabe was going to go back to the Monot High Bridge around the wooded area to see if he could find Derek. Now, when he
Right.
says that, how in the world would Gabe know that Derek would be there?
Right, be the one picking up, because what happened was, right, Derek.
Now, Will,
Derek is. Hey, we should tell him just if anybody came. Derek is Abby's father.
No.
no, I'm Libby's father.
Liberty's dad.
Liberty's. Yeah, okay.
And now
Liberty's dad.
he's the
Yeah.
one supposedly that snitched on Gabe and Tyler French and not just them two, but a bunch of other meth people.
Well, and coincidentally, is the one that was supposed to pick them up that day and continued to call.
But so let's say this. This just popped in my head. What? Well, he would have got rid of the phone, but I could say he could have if he saw Libby's phone and saw Derek, Daddy,
Right.
and it says, "Hey, are you guys ready? I'm on my way to pick you up."
Okay, yeah.
Then he could, but at the same time, you think he would have buried that phone or got, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And another thing that came up, he was on another YouTuber show, and it almost sounded like to me that they didn't recover the phone, that all this was uploaded into the cloud,
Right.
and they retrieved it off the cloud.
Okay.
Now, again, I always heard that they had the phone,
Right.
but that does make sense. I mean, anything that you upload on iPhone, you can upload it to cloud,
Right.
and you can pull it back. So when some of the family said that they did hear more on that
Right.
video than what the public has heard, then they could have retrieved it off a cloud and not actually had the physical phone with them.
Right, right.
It's weird to me that, but also I can also see, grabbing a phone, because you would think, okay, even if I got this off, can they ping this phone?
Oh,
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
yeah, so I could see if he knew Libby had the phone, maybe leaving it, because he's probably thinking, well, he had no idea. He probably didn't have time to go through the phone to see what the videos were, and
Right.
had no idea he was filming.
Yeah. Well,
But
this
he
all
could
goes
have.
back. This all goes back to risk, though.
But it also could have something to do with the time. If he grabbed her phone and was looking at these text messages, oh, Dad's on the way, I got to hurry and kill these kids or get them out of the area.
Right.
I mean, that's another possibility. But
It's difficult.
it's very difficult. And again, I'm with you on how, so
How does this?
can anybody out there in the chat room tell me how far, if you're from the area, how far is the Mears farm from the crime scene? I mean, are we talking he marched these girls 5, 6, 7 miles? Bobby Eldridge, if you could answer that for me, do you know how far Mears farm is from the crime scene? Because I'm just curious of how far did he have to take these girls, and when somebody's seen two adult men with 2 young girls, because eventually you're going to get out of the
Sorry.
I don't know if you call it forest, but the area
Yeah.
where it's going to be flat land, and you're taking incredible risk. The further you go with these girls, the more chance you've got of getting caught.
And it completely contradicts the theory that we had last episode, because at least for myself, I was trying to say that this was a planned, concise effort. This is something that, maybe there is video and obviously voice recordings of this guy, but for the most part, he got in, got out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't really leave that much evidence, or maybe did, and we don't know what it is yet. And so, but what this is saying is, not only is this all up here, what we're seeing right below the iceberg is massive corruption, chaos within this local government. Okay, the murder itself is chaotic.
Horrible chaos.
The murder itself is chaotic. They're following. They're catfishing. They're following. They're getting them. They're taking them somewhere else. They're doing the murder. The search party's happening. They're coming back. The guy is looking through his cell phone. He runs across Derek. I mean, that all sounds insane. To the point where how would it not be solved if all that's happening?
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about too that makes a little more sense now. We were talking not last week because we were sick last week.
God, so sick. Yeah.
Well, God, it's been about 3 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
But, we kept thinking, okay, now how did the bridge guy walk all the way from that area down past the highway to the old CPS building with no one seeing him because someone saw him? Now, Matt's view is, basically, it was Tyler that ended up walking and getting a car. Gabe stayed back, right? And then Tyler, I guess, came and picked him up at a remote location. So he's not seen walking down, the interstate.
Right. Yeah.
And so that makes a little sense as well.
It does. Right. Yeah.
Because I thought, man, you can't tell me that people on a main highway would have said, yeah, I saw a guy in a blue jacket.
Right.
And jeans walking down the interstate.
For sure. Yeah.
But if you see this kid, basically he's clean cut looking.
Yeah.
If you see him walking, you're probably not going to think anything about it.
Right. Well, and you had mentioned in the last episode that there was a sighting of somebody picking up somebody else, and somebody was claiming it was a high profile person from the town and blah, blah, blah. So that story actually ties into what Matt's saying, because it's taking that image of somebody pulling up, somebody getting in the car and leaving, and he's applying that to Tyler and Gabe. Oh,
wow.
dude.
Oh, who was that, Pam? My wife just came in and said it was the barn was a mile from the crime scene. So that's very doable.
It's doable.
That's very doable.
Hey.
But it is but again,
we're taking two unwilling participants and then bringing two dead participants back a mile.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That would it's
and nobody knows about it. Or they do, and the entire government's covering up for them.
What if I threw him in the car and then drove him to the farm? What if there was
I would love to see what that looks like.
There would be a second car. Yeah. Then now you're
putting
talking
bodies
two cars.
in cars too, though, man. And I'm a huge fan of the first 48. Okay, they always are looking for two things, right? Or three things. They're looking for the weapon. They're looking for any kind of cell phone device, and they want to know where the crime happened. And if it's in the car, even better. They always bring it in if it's not fully engulfed by that point, right? And they love it, right? They always bring it in, and they always find something in the car. If it's a receipt, right? They find a receipt in the glove box, and they're like, oh, hey, this is from the day of the crime. Let's go see what they were buying. Oh, they look at the camera, and it's at Walmart, and they're like, oh, they were buying duct tape, gloves, and zip ties. Okay, cool, and mask, right? And so if it's from a receipt or if it's from DNA, leftover blood in the car, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my whole point about evidence, though.
Yeah, what I was talking about is they were still alive.
Okay, or if they're still alive.
If there was a second car and they said, girls, get in the car, and they drive to the farm.
Right.
Then, because like I said, you're taking a huge chance of walking girls a whole mile without someone saying, I saw these two adults with these girls. How did no one see this?
Yeah.
And then, again, you'd have to think, okay, I don't know anything about the Mears farm. I don't know if it's an abandoned farm, if there's a house on that farm that people live in. How do you walk across their property and hope to God these people don't see you? The girls could be screaming. Which would bring people out of the house to look into the barn.
Yeah.
So, God,
there's a lot of questions. That's why I can't wait to have Matt on the.
I hope this gets solved because it drives me. Because I'll think one way. Like last week, I was just sure it's Charles Eldridge. I thought Charles Eldridge, he's the guy. And now
then we did Evansdale. No. So the first episode, we were like, because we were doing the facial recognition, we were like trying to tie it all in, and it did. And we even posted that picture, I think. Well, I don't know if we posted it or not, but the distance between St. Louis, Delphi, St. Louis, Evansdale, the triangle, triangulation, and the guys in Mo. Yeah, so I looked. Did you ever? It was like about 3 hours to each one.
Yeah, 3.5. Because you had a theory on the St. Louis thing, and I don't think you ever discussed that on the show.
No, I was just trying to, because I moved so far away from Charles Eldridge, even though he owned a car that looked like the one at the Evansdale murder, which happened to be a white vehicle and
SUV.
And we talked about the satellite images, which was intriguing as hell, where we were looking down at the white car on the day gone. Okay. And so that did tie in Eldridge, right? And he was out at both of the times of the murders. There's a theory out there that, they're waiting for him to be tried for his murder and sexual assault.
No, that's Thomas Bruce.
Thomas Bruce. Okay. Oh, Eldridge is the guy with the
pants.
jeans. Okay. See, I was tying Thomas Bruce from the St. Louis location, because that's where that crime happened at the Catholic bookstore, right?
Right.
And so, and I don't think Eldridge was from the local area. So, but the Thomas Bruce actually didn't he own the vehicle? It was Thomas Bruce that owned the vehicle, okay?
Yep.
And so, but I kind of started to move away from that as we moved into episode 2, in which we started talking about Evansdale. And we were we've gone through Eldridge and Thomas Bruce. We've brought on Kathy, who got the sick feeling when she was looking at both of those guys.
Yeah.
And so the whole adventure that we've been on trying to get to the bottom of this has been remarkable. Then you throw Matt Sullivan into the mix. You're like, Garrett, watch these 3 videos. I watched them and I'm like, okay, so this is a completely contradicting to the fact. And if you look at some of the comments, there's people that say that they believe that there were 2 people involved in this. And that's something you and I talked a lot about as well.
Yeah, at first I didn't believe that. Now I do.
Right. Well,
and I think it's because of the 2 sketches.
It gives the credence to the 2 sketches, which threw a monkey wrench in everything everybody was talking about at the time.
Yeah, it made a lot of people angry.
Right.
Because law enforcement was not clear with anybody, when you're asking, well, is this 2 separate people? And they were kind of hee-hawing around about, well, if you take both pictures, put them together, it's kind of maybe the same guy. This is eyewitness testimony. But I think what it was was the testimony was from that person I talked about that approached Tyler French.
Right.
On the road.
And this is how Matt ties it in, right?
That's how Matt ties that in. And I got to say, man, that younger sketch is, it's a dead ringer. And again, with Gabe Ellis, if you put a big baggy jacket on him and a hat and a hood, and looks like him too.
And we're talking about an extremely rigorous amount of work to make this crime come off over.
Oh my God.
Over being pissed off.
Yes, dude. And is that a motive?
Hey, and you would almost have to be on meth to make that come off, though.
Oh my God. Well, not only that, but just have, why not kill Derek instead of his daughter?
Right. Absolutely.
But I know, but also, people say that's the way to get to somebody is to kill a family member.
Right.
And that could be. But my God in heaven, what a horrible thing to do. Whoever did it, regardless. Whether it's Gabe, Charles Eldridge, whoever.
Okay, I'm going to give my theory really fast.
Okay. And then
closing statement here.
If you guys want to call, go ahead and call.
Yeah,
we're wrapping things up.
Yeah.
205-730-6441.
Here, I'm going to make it really quick. Closing argument here, okay? I believe one person did it. I believe that this one person is very likely still out there and has done other crimes. Okay. I believe, or work at these Packers plant, truck driver or somebody. Okay. I believe that they stake out their location very, very intently, right? Attention to detail is on point. I think they do it at a certain time of day to minimize risk. I think they're using some sort of chat room, geocaching, and or app to catfish these girls into being there, okay, or these victims. And I think they do the crime. They don't leave much evidence, and they get the heck out of there. I think that it was sloppy that they got a video of themselves, right? I think they're probably pissed off that they got their voice on camera. So all the credit in the world to those 2 young girls, okay, because they left some really big breadcrumbs for us.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the end of the day, that's my theory, and I hope that I'm right, because I hope it is one person, right? I hope it isn't a whole group of people that are involved in this crazy.
Right, because if you go down then
that's really, really scary.
Because then you got to think of how many other cities in this United States
absolutely
is corrupt enough that they would let 2 little girls sweep that under the rug because they don't want to go to prison or be found out about.
That's my final argument.
I don't really, I don't really have a closing thing to say. I'm just each week I'll read something and it'll change my mind. I unlike you, I think maybe there was two people involved. Why is there a second sketch?
Yeah.
I mean, easier to
I'm open to it.
Easier to control two girls, two adult men. Now, yes, one man could pull a gun out and scare them enough to do it, but still, if you've got two and they decide to run, the one runs after the other one. Now, like I told you before, one guy, and I'm not, this sounds bad, but I don't mean it to, but if you got one guy and Abby runs one way, Libby runs the other way, he panics. He can't chase one,
right?
Because the other's getting away. He can't fire. I don't think he had any intention of firing his gun,
right?
Because he's in a public park, and there were people in the park at the time. They would have heard that. So,
but what's to say that he hasn't tried this before? Because we did get a message from a lady that said she was from the Evansdale area, and her kid, there had been an attempt on her.
Yeah, we had a comment 3 weeks ago about someone who lived right across
from that park,
from the lake.
I'm sorry, the lake. Yep.
The lake where the Evans girls disappeared, and someone had chased her daughter into that area, and she got away.
Right. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much of this stuff is underreported?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And she said that she reported it to the police. Police acted like it was no big deal.
Right.
And there you go. I mean, that's
drifter.
That should be taken very seriously.
Yeah.
That should have been investigated.
For sure.
I mean,
there should have been a patrol car out that area. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have been searching all over the place.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Because that means you got a guy chasing some young girl. He wasn't there to play hide and seek.
Right. Absolutely.
Or play games.
Yeah.
What happened if he would have caught her? So I mean, so there are things that do get overlooked in law enforcement. There's sloppy. I'm sure there's a lot of laziness too. They think, it's probably some kid
I would call it
trying to scare the little girl.
I would call it complacency.
Yeah,
because I think that you get into this mode, and they talk a lot about it in the Army. You just the everyday thing. You just get used to it. So you gotta you gotta really practice on being like hyper aware. And so I think a lot of these places probably it's complacency. Yeah. Right? Like, when's the last time we've had a murder? When's the last time we had a kidnapping? You know what I mean? Like, oh, God, this happens all the time. Like,
Right.
Sure, it's fine.
Right.
So.
And again, I think she also said that this suspect was on a bicycle.
Okay.
Did you remember that?
Yeah.
On a bicycle.
Right.
And so to a police officer, they probably thought, well, that's just some kid probably just trying to scare her.
Right. And when in reality, it could have been the perp that was actually, riding his bike around that trail. Because in both of these cases, they believe that this person knew those locations very well.
Yeah. Yeah. They had to have.
They had to have.
They had to have too.
You look at the terrain, you look at the area.
Yeah. And that's something maybe we should book a flight.
Absolutely.
And go out to Delphi and actually for us to look at this and understand it a little better, see the distances.
I'll make a deal with you.
What's that?
Is that if we go to Delphi, we have to agree to go to Evansdale as well.
Okay.
Go to both locations.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, we can bring equipment to do a live feed.
Bring cast for pictures.
Bring cast for pictures.
Because I want to draw a parallel between the two locations. I really do.
Yeah.
Because, hey, at the end of the day, if Evansdale and Delphi aren't connected, you know what that tells us, Keith?
What's that?
Is that there's two separate psychopaths out there that are willing to kill two girls in a secluded area.
Yeah.
Right? And so I go back to the fact that I'm really, I think it's one person. I hope it's one person. And hopefully they're in prison, actually. That'd be great.
Yeah. Matt Thomas, and I think it's like I said, I should put my glasses on. He said, did I hear it correct that the night of the first search that it was radioed in to call it off fairly early into the evening, or is that just rumor? No, that is absolutely correct.
Fact.
Sheriff Lesenby, within just 3 hours of the search, called it off.
Right. Because and somebody actually said this because volunteers were getting tired and it was cold.
Yeah, but you got two little. I mean,
For sure. Yeah.
You know,
terrible decision.
yeah, and the other thing Matt brought up is that he asked for search dogs from Illinois and they had search dogs in Indianapolis.
Well, and we had a lady that called in. They actually.
Ivy Push. If you're out there, chime in. I don't know who she is.
But yeah,
she had search dogs.
Yeah,
and
it was in a county in Indiana.
And was in the county of Indiana.
Yeah.
And that. So and that also fell into Matt's theory that Lesenby called us off because he knew
what happened.
He knew who it was and why it happened. It was Derek German's kid, and he thinks that automatically Gabe Ellis pops into his mind.
It almost seems like though, because one of the things that Matt talks about as well is that they just let everybody willy-nilly around the crime scene.
That's true. Well, that's true.
But to bring them back, you would almost have to cordon off like a crime scene and tell people to get out. So you could bring them back and.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that probably was just. I think they thought there was no harm that came to the girls. I think they thought the girls got lost, and so they had a bunch of volunteers out tromping all over the place instead of handling it as maybe a crime scene. I think
phones died. They're out here.
I just don't think they really thought these girls were in danger.
Right, for sure.
And so I think that's why that happened.
Hey, and the guy that says,
and I don't know what protocol is. I mean, like if you got a missing kid, you always see volunteers.
Yeah.
So if they're walking through the field, they're contaminating the crime scene once they find the bodies.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Well, and another thing I thought of too, like with the guy that said that he's a cowboy and that he knows and those bodies weren't there. It's kind of like in the case of the Evansdale girls where they found them, is that hunters were walking right by them right. I mean, they said you could have walked within 5 feet and not seen the bodies.
Yeah, but the difference is
the grass, right? The terrain.
It was a different time of the year. It was summer in Evansdale, and the grass they said could have been 4 or 5 feet high, and the trail was off of where these girls' bodies were. And in Delphi,
there were no leaves on the trees and everything. But if you've been out in the woods at night in some rough terrain. If I'm calling myself an old cowboy, I don't know how old he is. All right, but I'm just saying. My point is that you could walk by the girls. You could. Yeah, but that doesn't explain how come the drone didn't pick that up. That's the only thing. That's why I would love to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Because that's really, that's where I was like, okay, Matt, that's a good one.
Because they said they flew the drone up and down the creek.
Right.
They flew it around the bridge. And I actually I didn't read a text because actually Matt put some of the text messages up between him and that video, but I don't remember reading where the guy said, "Yeah, we went right over where the body should be."
I think the text was actually from the doctor that didn't want his name used. He used the
no, he had text messages from the guy.
Oh, he did from the. Oh, okay.
It was only like a couple.
And so he was saying that he went through the banks.
But the creek banks. Now the bodies were only 50 feet from the creek bank.
So you would have seen them.
So they probably, I'm sure he would have went over, 50 feet out from the creek on each side.
Well, and everything would have been moving because he said he could see deer. He saw
searchers. He saw the deer.
He would have, if he's looking down, right, and he's seeing these heat signatures going, this would stand out.
Oh, absolutely.
So, okay.
Yeah, because
he said he was high up there too. He went like high up there and low. He went okay.
Yeah, I mean he had probably a $5,000 drone.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
With all those cameras on it. But anyway, we're it's 9:05, so we've been on here for almost 2 hours. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. We had it says 67 people in the chat room.
Yep.
That's awesome. And you guys, please. Subscribe and like the videos.
Hey, don't be afraid to call us, man. We'll take calls. You guys have heard our shows before. We'll take calls from anybody and everybody, and we'll talk to you.
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
say whatever you want. We're gonna, because we're trying to figure things out too, and we talk about that all the time. That's one of our goals of doing this is that we're starting a conversation, we're having a conversation, and so don't ever be afraid to call, and we'll keep you anonymous if you need to be.
Yeah, no problem at all. You guys can call. We'll talk to you. We don't bite, so and it makes it more interesting if we get some phone calls. And there's a lot of people who just don't like calling, and I understand that. And Matt Thomas, you're very welcome. He just said thanks, guys. And anyway,
thank you, everybody.
We are hoping to get Matt on possibly Tuesday if Mr. Garrett.
I figured out. Hey, if Matt.
Yeah, I told Matt. I said, let me know. He said either Tuesday or maybe the following Sunday.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Matt's going to watch this and he's going to be like, I can't wait to talk to those guys.
Yeah,
Those guys are awesome. I think that's what's going to happen.
Let's hope so.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Let's hope that he does believe that. But
thank you guys.
anyway, so guys, we will see you hopefully Tuesday. Again, subscribe, like the videos. Let's get a big community going, man. Let's see if we can help these families get some type of closure with this. And also, we are going to look into the Missy Beavers case as well. We're going to do a show on Missy Beavers. We had someone that commented on that, and that's a very interesting case indeed. And it's a 4-year unsolved case, kind of like this one. They got video of the guy, except he's dressed girl, but he's dressed in like cop tactical gear, right? So anyway,
thank you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We will see you Tuesday. I will let you know as soon as we hook something up with Mr. Sullivan, and we'll see you then. Bye.